You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Welcome to another round of Boardroom or Miro Board. Today we talk retrospectives with Agile coach Maria. Let's go. First question. You've spent 2 hours in a team retro, but the only input you've heard is Dave's. Boardroom or Miro Board?
Boardroom. In Miro, Dave can't hog the space because everyone can add thoughts anonymously, online at the same time.
Correct. Next. You need the team to act on feedback fast, so you turn all those retro notes into Jira tasks instantly.
Miro all the way. And I can assign those tasks to teammates.
You're nailing this. Now, you see hundreds of sticky notes from the retro. A real mess. But you organize them into 5 themes in just seconds.
Miro, I basically get back an entire hour when I use its AI tools for clustering.
And she's done it.
Join over 60 million people running actually enjoyable and actionable retros in Miro. Get your first 3 boards free at Miro.com. That's Miro.com.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
Speaking of people videotaping things that they shouldn't to go viral, this happened yesterday. Someone uploaded this video, and I want to watch it with you, Dan and Stugotz, because I don't think you've seen it yet.
It's a strange video.
I want you to tell me if you notice anything especially weird about this video.
Car flipped upside down.
I mean, that's weird in itself.
A door open with a car upside down.
Looks like a watermelon of some sort.
It's also weird.
A watermelon in sunroof.
Hey, dude, what are you doing?
There's some video
This guy just pulled out a watermelon from his car.
Is that Scott Hanson?
That is Scott Hanson.
What?
I feel
That
like I'm
is
being
Scott
punked.
Hanson.
This is one of the weirder videos in the history of the internet.
Okay, so if you're listening to this on the podcast, there is a first person videotaping themselves at the scene of a car crash, reaching into a car with the door open, upside down. The car's upside down. He reaches into the car. There's a watermelon.
And you grab it because of course.
This person grabs the watermelon, half of a watermelon, carries it out of the car, and then he pans over to Scott Hanson,
who's getting his
who
Jeff
is
Darlington on.
videotaping the car upside down, the accident, and he says, "What are you doing?"
In an accusatory way, almost like, are you affecting a crime scene right here? Like he was almost getting his he was almost going to make a citizen's arrest.
Exactly. So this video was circulating online, and then Scott Hanson actually tweeted a reply to it because someone said, "Is that Scott Hanson?" Because really, I mean, it's dark, but the voice is unmistakable. The voice is unmistakable, and he said that apparently there was a car crash. The people in the cars were okay. He checked, but then he saw this person reaching inside the car to get the watermelon and started videotaping him in case it was a crime to take a watermelon out of a crashed car.
All right, it is delightful for a number of different reasons, but you're suggesting that in that situation, Scott Hanson was video vigilante, that he is protecting America's streets from stolen watermelon situations when your car has flipped over.
What I learned in this video is the value of a good watermelon, because this is a very serious thing. What? But until I see the watermelon, like, it's a flipped car. It's a camera. Like, there could be someone dead in there. I see the watermelon, I'm instantly happy. I'm like, I smile, I giggle. Like, if that video is exactly the same thing, but there's no watermelon, this is a very serious, sad video.
That's a carved out
if there's
watermelon.
a dead body instead of a watermelon, it's a worse video.
You put cut up fruit in that watermelon. It's delightful. It's melon. It's cut up watermelon. You hollow out the watermelon. That's what that is.
Oh, I love a melon baller.
It's like just a half cut watermelon.
This is what Scott Hanson tweeted, by the way. He said, "Yes, I'm fine. I was a witness. I wasn't in either car. Terrible crash. I checked on the survivors and then saw that jack wagon trying to exploit the situation for his social media. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised, but I was/am."
What is he doing?
disheartening.
Same thing.
What's Scott doing?
Well, he's being disappointed in behavior.
He said 2 people could have died, and that clown was excited about his TikTok. I couldn't believe it. You know his name/identity? He jetted when the police were pulling up. I videoed him in case what he was doing was illegal, parentheses, tampering with the scene of a crime, ? So disappointing.
Also, don't worry about that, Scott. How about that?
Seriously, stay in your lane.
Mind your own business.
Right. Tell me when a team's in the red zone.
What if Scott wanted the melon and that's why he's really upset?
Oh, Jesus.
Eyeing that melon from a mile away.
How did this guy know there was a watermelon in the car? That's the other thing. He
There's a
just
lot.
reaches in and grabs a watermelon. This is one of those things where, you know how people think that like we're all living in a simulation? This is an example of we are in a simulation and we're running out of characters. The people running the simulation have run out of extras, so they just dropped Scott Hanson into this video.
It's interesting to see the division in the room, though, because I feel like you and me, and I don't know where Lucy and Chris stand on this, but we're looking at Scott Hanson and saying, good for you. But Billy and Tony aligned again on narc.
Falsehoods.
Yeah.
Mind your
It's a
business.
little pot kettle situation, you know what I mean? Like he's running up to someone with a camera saying, "What are you doing?" And while he's doing the exact same
he
thing.
didn't upload his video. He took it for the police.
He's making the story about
the cops.
Yeah, no, that other video came out first, and then he became the guy that's like, you know what? I can't be the second one to put the video out. Now I need to pretend to be Batman over here, Watermelon
I think
Batman.
if one of my loved ones was in a crash, which this has happened to loved ones of mine before, and someone had a video of said accident and someone messing with their car after said accident, I would probably want to know what was going on. Just saying.
Look, if no one got hurt, everyone was okay, and I saw that watermelon video on my TikTok For You page, I would have liked and shared it. Yeah. For sure. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
Jeff Darlington is really inspiring.
That melon was full of glass, though. Exactly. Like, that's the thing that I don't understand the value of that watermelon.
Wait,
it
was?
broke. Yeah, he took
shattered sunroof.
There's a shattered sunroof.
We
You
gotta
take
watch
it
the
out, you
video
even
again.
hear the glass crackling.
And that's the thing. I mean, this is a mess.
If I'm the first guy and I approach the car and I see the watermelon, I'm just doing the zoom in and out thing on it.
Yeah.
I'm not actually grabbing it because I'm thinking what Scott Hanson's thinking. I don't want to affect
Tampering
a
a crime
crime scene.
Oh, melons
So
are expensive.
you gotta zoom in and out on it. I mean, it's like, what the hell is this watermelon doing here? You gotta like emphasize it.
I would like to examine for a second, though, what Stugotz has correctly identified is going on around here before we go back out to Jeremy to see if he has found a Florida Panthers fan. You just said, Billy, when I accused you of Team Tony and uniting with him on being anti-narc, this is what you did. You whispered falsehoods and then agreed with everything he said. That's exactly how you did it. You whispered your lame move of falsehoods and then agreed with every single word that he said about Scott Hanson as a narc and supported Tony from every angle.
Well, I'm not intentionally supporting Tony. Our view just seems to align on this situation.
I think we need to get Scott Hanson on the show. And I also think that the Miami drivers in this room are desensitized to accidents like this. And you think that this is just like, yeah, there's accidents all the time. I grab a melon from a car that's upside down. This is not normal behavior.
On Only in Dade, I've seen 7 cars flipped over today in the morning.
We have to talk more about that in a second, what you've seen on Only in Dade, because there's always a car rolling on I-95 on fire. I don't understand
Car
how
fires
that
seem very prevalent.
Always.
I saw a burnt-out Lamborghini yesterday, or maybe like a week ago. Woke up, rolled out of bed, Lamborghini on fire. All there's left is a tire. What's happening?
Only in Dade has a number of videos a day that make it feel like a simulation. There's always a mattress on the highway. There's always a car on fire.
Or the boat getting pulled back on the car. You know how people try to pull the boat up from the
boat ramp, yep.
They get back.
Let's go back out to Jeremy here in our continuing quest in South Florida is he being rained on now? Where are you? Where is that? Where are you now looking for Panther fans?
Dan, we got lost. It's really easy to end up in the middle of the Everglades, and that's exactly what's happened here. I did speak to an actual Florida Panther. He was very excited about Greg Cody's new nickname of Sergei Badkwotsky.
Can we pan out a little here? Let's paint the picture a little. Let's pan out, Danny.
No, deep. I'm up to my knees in water. You could see it up to my knees in water. We're really stuck.
Okay, he is in the Everglades.
He is in the Everglades.
He is in the Everglades.
Wow. I've been there.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Is that right near the Sunrise exit?
That is right.
Yeah, it is near the Sunrise exit. That's right.
Yes. This is, So when Bill Simmons asked the question, nobody knows where the Panthers play. That's where the Panthers play, right there in the Everglades. Again, though, you are no closer to
looking for Panthers fans.
Yeah,
Why are you in the Everglades?
Where are the Panther fans?
We're gonna try. we're going to head to another spot in the Everglades because I think, being this close to where the arena is most important. So in the rain now, we're actually going to head over to where the airboat rides are in the Everglades and see if we can't find some Florida Panthers fans.
You won't find a single fan there. Go further away from the arena, and then you have a better chance of finding a fan. I'm telling you.
No.
Next report from the airboat.
Away from the arena.
He's going to go try and find. Yes, go out there. Let's show people airboat Everglades for those who do not know the marshland. The
beauty.
Panthers,
the landscape.
Sad white van
Heaven
just driving
on
by.
Earth, really.
Beautiful. I want to ask.
Hill.
I want to ask all of you a question here, because I don't know the folks like Jessica and Lucy who are new to South Florida. Thank you, Jeremy. We will check back in. Not enough rain on you. I'd like you to be getting rained on more.
Flamingo for you, Dan. I'll find another flamingo.
In our region, okay, the places where giant sports things have been built to entertain the sports that are not the major ones, furthest out on the extremes of South Florida where you can get land to build giant things, furthest from us. Homestead Motor Speedway is in Homestead, where you can get a lot of land to build a thing that has a lot of space and is not in the center of things. You're going toward marshland and deeper into areas where the real estate has less value.
You're almost at the Keys.
I mean, it's far. I don't know which one's further. Billy, help me. Which one's further from where we are right now? Homestead Motor Speedway or where Jeremy is covering the Panthers? I don't know in terms of miles which one is actually further by car in traffic to get to when I say that when I say that going to a Stanley Cup game from where we presently are in traffic will take between 90 minutes and 2 hours to get to where the Stanley Cup is. And if you know anything about South Florida, Dade and Broward, those are two very different places demographically. That Dade County has all of the diversity. You'll find in Fort Lauderdale some where you find like Dillard High School and stuff, but where the Panthers play, not terribly diverse.
No.
The Panthers, Fort Lauderdale.
But people live there. Like Jeremy lives 10 minutes from there. Chris Cody lives closer there. We just don't.
Well, people live in Davie, Plantation,
and Homestead.
That
People
area,
live there
Parkland,
too. It's just far from us.
Homestead is 40 miles. Homestead Speedway is 40 miles from right here.
It's also hard to put a motor speedway in the middle of downtown. Like it takes up a lot of real estate. You need lots of acreage to put like a mile-long racetrack in the middle of a street.
Yeah. Formula One begs to differ.
You say that, but wasn't the Grand Prix originally right here? Like, wasn't it in downtown Miami in these same streets right here?
Yeah, but they closed downtown to do that. It's not an actual speedway the entire time.
That is correct.
It's just for the event.
That is right.
Also, as we're growing and branching out, like the geography of Florida was all swampland, right? It all used to look like that. Like when the Orange Bowl was built, it was built in swampland. And like we just keep going out further west and we keep going further south because that's where the available land is. But as time goes on, those will be populated areas because you'll keep building homes around there because that's where the land's available. Unless it becomes protected because of the Florida Panthers who are endangered or not. We're not sure about that, but we think they're endangered. And then the land becomes protected and you can't build houses there.
Mm-hmm. One of the best books I have read is The Swamp, about the history of Florida and how
Michael Grunwald. I read that one too.
Ben Hill Griffin, Tebow.
The history of Florida suggests that it's always been a real estate con, that we've been tricking people since Rockefeller, getting them down here to build real estate, telling them it'll have value. It was never supposed to work.
Spring is the best time to add new challenges to your workout. Just in time for summer and warmer days. Spring's the best time of year to take a new look at your fitness routine, dial it up a notch, and continue powering on. Peloton's varying class lengths were designed with your training plan in mind. Personalize your workout, whether you'd like to add a 10-minute core session at the end of your strength class or take a 60-minute power zone ride to increase your endurance. Peloton classes are designed to help you focus on your needs and goals. And if you're like me and you have no idea what you're doing, What class do I take? What am I doing? How is this helping me? Peloton has a series of programs designed just for you. It makes it easy. You pick the program, look at the week. It tells you how many classes you have, recommends the days you should take them, and boom, just find the time and hit start. Peloton's programs and instructors push you to be your best. Their expert coaches and non-stop vibes will push you to new levels of strength and endurance, keeping you on your toes while giving you the professional coaching you need. Get your head start on summer with Peloton at onepeloton.com.
Don Le Batard.
Teammates can't shoot from three. Now they're gonna see a different Jimmy. Now he's just playing Nickelback in the locker room, and
Stugotz.
they'll play D and shoot threes as they chase the Nets for the 6th seed. These 5 words in his head scream, "Are we winning games yet?"
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I wish that people could see Stugotz during the break and the stuff that he does, because he just did a cameo. I heard him mutter under his breath, the ones you do within 24 hours, double the money.
Oh, yes. Yeah. They dried up, I mean.
And, well, because you're the worst, Stugotz. You didn't do a ton of them. When you said they dried up, you wanted them, you charged a lot for them, and then you would go many months without answering and let them expire, and it became too much for you. And I don't know what's going on now in your personal life that makes you do these during the breaks, that makes you grab at the money during the breaks in a way that's more aggressive than you were doing it back then.
This is and first off, I will get to all of those, the ones I didn't do. I do plan on sitting down one day and getting to those, and I'll do them for free. So everyone out there, they're 3 years old, but I will get to them.
Chicken time!
I deserve that. But this was 24-hour response, Dan. By the way, I'm on the Cameo app right now. I have a consecutive streak going of 5 straight cameos on time. How about that? This was double the money. It was someone's 33rd birthday. You know that's important to me. It's Larry Bird year, you know?
5 is not impressive at all.
What?
How many undone have you?
I have to check. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well said.
Good confidence. Good confidence there. What he said, though, where you might have lacked confidence in speaking, Stugotz, as soon as he was done, he involved the room. He wished somebody happy birthday, and he stopped the cameo, and then he looks at me and with a single sausage finger says, "I'm good at those."
I'm good at wishing someone a happy birthday.
You just threw the camera in front of me. Yeah. You're like, here's Chris.
I mean, listen, I had a top 5 because it's his 33rd birthday. I happen to have my top 5 athletes who wore the number 33 of all time. I gave it to him. What a gift. I mean.
Can we have that?
Can we have
put effort into that?
I did, yeah.
Does he put in any effort into any of the top 5? It's like it's just the latest things he's thought of.
I wrote it down. I mean, number 5, Tony Dorsett. Number 4, Scottie Pippen.
We're getting reheated cameo material.
Number 3, Shaq.
It makes it less personal to the gift, the person you're giving the gift to.
No, they'll love this.
Number 2, Kareem. And number 1, of course, shot for your life, Larry Bird. $112, Dan.
Billy is shocked by that.
$112 you charge?
What's a 24-hour thing? That's why.
That's probably just
24 hours.
That's probably just his cut.
Yeah, that's his cut.
Probably like 175, and he gets 112.
I'm crushing it.
Billy, tell me everything.
5 in a row.
Billy, tell me everything that's going well. You say 5 in a row with enthusiasm, but the people who are listening and not seeing don't see that your head is in your hands because you're disgusted by what?
5 is nothing. Like 5 in a row is not good.
What's your longest streak?
I don't want to say. Well, no, I'll show Tony, but don't say it out loud because it sounds obnoxious. I don't want to say it.
He's probably done all of them. He's probably got hundreds in a row.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but it's more than 5.
Billy's responsible. Like you'd have
no money.
I have one. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, I want my kids to go to college, so I want. Yes, if you're gonna offer me money, I will go above and beyond, and I'll send you what you want. Yes.
That seems reasonable when
Yes.
transactions
You're
are...
asking me to do something, I'll do it for you. Yes.
One of
Stugotz is
Father's Day is coming up, by the way. If anyone wants me to wish their
At
father
Tony.
happy Father's Day or husband,
Much cheaper,
brother,
Billy, Chris,
whatever.
and Lucy.
Exactly,
Much cheaper.
right.
Tony. Yeah.
3 for the price of 1, some say.
I'll give you like 5 minutes.
Yeah, me too. I always
I'll
go
do
5 minutes.
a whole stand-up set.
My wife comes in and tells me, hey, wrap it up. Stop telling this person happy birthday. You don't know them. I go, but they're my friend. I love Carl.
Yeah.
I love Mark.
My wife has kicked me out because I'm doing too many cameos in the house. I do them in the garage.
Yeah, you did 5.
I have spent a lot of time, too much time, I would say, over the years trying to understand the mighty Gotts. And one of the things that I couldn't understand when Cameo money was pouring in, he likes money so much, how is it that Stugotz wouldn't be militant about making sure that he did all of these? And I figured it out. The money's not as valuable to him if he can't scam it off of you. Like, he's got to be able to...
Feels like I'm really working for it.
Exactly right. There's the balance between the money and the work, and he wants it to be kind of like, where is this?
Yeah.
Here's the balance. This is the money side, and this is the work side. And he'd like the scales to be like this, where there's the maximum money and the minimum work. And with Cameo, respectfully, it was more like this, right? Where it was like...
Too easy.
The money was there... And no, not too easy. It was too much for you because you had days that you had to do maybe 4 or 5. And then it's like, well, hold on a second. This is 8 minutes of work.
I was going through a tough time.
Anyone listening to this would say to you that this is the easiest thing in the world to do for money. There's no easier way to make money than this.
No, that's not true. Because the thing is that they give you, well, Stugotz somehow got an extended 7-day window. Normal people get a 4-day window. I don't know how you manage to get a 7-day window.
I changed my settings, man. You could do it too.
I didn't know that was a thing. So you have a couple days window. So if you don't do it right away, then sometimes you then start getting lost in life. And then it's like, well, oh my God, I have 37 minutes left and I need to get this in. So if you don't do it right away, sometimes it gets away from you.
So what happened was I had the price set lower and I had it set at 1 day. I had to deliver in 1 day.
Why would you do that?
Well, that's why I changed the settings, because I couldn't keep up with the demand. And so I extended it out to 7 days and I raised the price. Not as much demand, more time to do them,
Cameo took a bit of a fall. It had its peak right early on COVID where everyone was doing it, and then you kind of lost the whole...
Yeah, the guy that used to text me about joining nonstop hasn't texted me in a couple of years.
Shout out to Addison, wherever you are.
I don't think that you guys understand how you sound. Because this is not hard work. It is easy money. And leaving that easy money on the table for any reason sounds offensive to anybody out there struggling with money. Your life can't get so busy that you don't have a minute to yammer into your phone to make $50. I don't think you guys realize how you sound.
I mean, you go to a dentist with a leg massage.
That's right.
Tony saw my streak. There's no money left on that table.
Billy has scooped up all the money, put it in his pocket. Good for him. Your kid's going to go to college for that.
Hopefully.
What is the most memorable cameo? Was it the Antonio Brown ones or was it Smokey Robinson?
Hey, Marco. How you doing? Surprise, surprise. This is Smokey Robinson. I know you didn't expect to hear from me. But I was contacted by your sons, Jeff and Jared. And they told me that you used to live in Detroit across the street from me. And gosh, that's beautiful. How you doing again? Nice talking to you again, I guess. But anyway, you're living in Vancouver now. And they wanted me to wish you happy Chinooka. I have no idea what Chinooka is, but happy Chinooka because they said so. Anyway, God bless you, babe, and enjoy Chinooka. Have a wonderful time.
It's a better time.
If you can do better than that with a more memorable cameo than that, I would love to hear what you've got.
Top 533s? I mean.
I made friends on Cameo. The same people come back year after year. I wish the same people happy Valentine's Day every year.
Return customers because you're satisfied customers.
We actually have employees here that reached out to us to get jobs via Cameo. DM'd us.
Mike Fuentes.
Fuentes,
Cameo.
I did one for him. I did.
Then you told him you got him the job.
I did.
And saved the podcast all those years ago as well. We're going to get in a moment here to Florida Panthers coverage because we have Chris Cody doing something braver than anyone in the take industry is doing right now.
Flying to Edmonton?
In hockey. No. PK Subban is going to join us from Edmonton in moments. A lot of people have made that 2,500-mile flight. But Chris Cody is doing something in the take business that no one else has done. He has a quibble with Paul Maurice. He's only willing to escalate it to the level of quibble. He's not going to criticize this coach that Jonathan Zaslow's locally called the murderer of fun.
Yep.
Doesn't feel that way right now, but he brought a style of hockey that was less fun than the style we had, and so Chris is daring to quibble with Paul Maurice. We'll get to that in a second, but as has been happening way too much around here recently in ways that make me think about mortality, and I'd like to not be thinking so much about mortality. We have the breaking news now that Jerry West has passed away at the age of 86 years old. I don't have any personal experience with Jerry West other than interviewing him a couple of times on Highly Questionable and talking to him before it was fashionable about how deeply and darkly depressed he was and not able to enjoy his greatness as much as he would have liked because of what was a very difficult upbringing that was fueled to achieve the things that he did to make him a historic figure in sports. But I can't speak with any expertise about having watched him play or his greatness. I'm just learning that he passed at 86, and this will be met with a great deal of sadness in basketball circles where a number of different people had a number of different experiences with Jerry West, who was a consummate leader as a player and as an executive. Most recently portrayed in Winning Time by Adam McKay as a totally unreasonable temper problem that his family and him objected to, that portrayal, in a way that Jerry West said, I will take it all the way to the Supreme Court. I don't like how I've been portrayed emotionally in Winning Time, which is a fictionalized account of the Showtime Lakers. But Jerry West is earned as the logo of the sport, and he has now passed away at the age of 86.
He's one of the all-time great players. I only know stories about him playing through my dad, who swears that Jerry West is the greatest shooter that he's ever seen. We debate that all the time. I tell him it's Larry Bird. He tells me Jerry West. He says West is the logo and kind of ends the argument. But Dan, not only a great player, but as you mentioned off the court, a great builder of teams and also a mentor to a lot of players on teams in which, you know, he wasn't a part of. He just mentored a lot of guys throughout their career. And you're right. Today, this is going to be met with a ton of sadness because he is one of the all-time greats and had connections with a lot of the younger players who are going to be devastated by this news. So it is sad to see that Jerry West has passed away at the age of 86.
Folks, it's Mike Ryan. I want to talk to you about Game Time. As you know, it's the summer. That means summer concert season. A lot of big-time concerts out there. A lot of desirable tickets, a lot of sold-out tickets. And what do you do when the primary market is sold out? You turn to the secondary market, and that is often a headache. But it is not a headache with Game Time. It is my go-to for the secondary market. And if, on the small chance, you find a better price out there, don't worry. Game Time has a low price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying things like NBA Finals tickets and concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Don Batard.
We didn't get to your guys' against the spread.
You're right.
I don't have it against the spread because I wasn't prepared for this segment.
You need an Ian in your life.
You have actively played defense against me today in a way that has rarely been this undercutting.
Stugotz.
Defense wins championships, baby. That's show business.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz.
let us segue, however awkwardly, from mortality into something that feels slightly better than that, which is the Panthers are 2 victories away from winning the Stanley Cup. PK Subban has been an excellent analyst over the last few years. He's a 3-time NHL All-Star, but it's been fun watching him grow as a voice, his confidence. Like, it's obvious, not that he ever lacked confidence, but it's just obvious seeing him in front of the cameras that he has grown comfortable, very comfortable in the position of being an authority and a voice on hockey. PK, thank you for joining us. Can you tell me if you could have imagined this during your playing career, the idea of an analyst role for you that would fit this well?
I don't think you ever try to look too far ahead. I think you try to stay in the moment when you're playing. But, one thing that was always something that I saw follow me from team to team. I played for 3 different teams, and in every single locker room, we were always very opinionated about what we heard on the television and what people would be saying. And I think that sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is. When you're an ex-player, you have an opportunity to have an impact. Sorry about that. To be able to talk about the game and influence the game in a different way than just on the ice, and be able to educate people and bring new people into the game. I think it's an opportunity that you can't pass up, especially for the players that truly love the game. Whatever sport you're in, if you truly love it, you want to still be attached to it in some capacity. And this allows me to not only be within the game still, but as a player, give back to the players and help educate, from a player's perspective. I think that's important as well. Journalism's a difficult job, and I have a lot of respect for people that have been doing it for a long time, but to have a perspective as someone who's more recently out of the game, I think is pretty valuable. And I hope that the players value it. All the feedback has been positive so far, so I'll take it and run with it.
Well, you had personality as a player. You have personality as a broadcaster. Do you get frustrated the way that I do by hockey players in general who are very nice, very polite, and very careful to never say anything interesting to us?
Well, I think that the comfort is now there for players to come out of their shell. We see what the NHL is doing with this new show coming out. Obviously, that's going to highlight some of the star players in the game, and I know I'll be a part of that in a certain capacity. So we're all excited for that, and I think this is the new wave now for the NHL. The NHL's here. We see it. The numbers continue to grow. People continue to watch. It's exciting. I mean, we had DJ Khaled performing at before the game during an intermission. It's pretty special. This stuff wasn't happening when I was playing, right? And I retired only 2 years ago. So I think we're well on our way in the NHL. And the most important thing is the product on the ice. So the players know that. You got to go out and play. But I think that we have other avenues now to show players' personality. It's difficult. These guys wear helmets on the ice, you don't always get to see them. So, as far as recognizing the players, we have to find other ways to do that. And I think that, creating different avenues to promote the players and market the game is exactly what we want to do. And I think that show is going to play a big role in people getting to know our stars, outside of just like Connor McDavid being on the Stanley Cup stage and Matthew Tkachuk. They're going to be able to get inside a little bit and know what they're like personally, which I think is really important.
PK, you mentioned the ratings, and you're right. They're up, and they're up dramatically. They're up 45% year to year. What do you attribute that to?
I think it's a number of things. The product on the ice. I got to watch a lot of hockey, and I can tell you when I was playing, I didn't always want to watch. I can't take my eyes off the screen now. I'm so excited every night to watch the game. There's so many skilled players. And, without the skill, I considered myself a skilled player when I played. Grew up, I was a Montreal Canadiens fan. Obviously hometown is Toronto, so always had a special place in my heart for the Leafs. But growing up, it was all about the Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche and, watching the way that those teams played the game. And that was skill and a ton of skill. And now that's what the game's about. You can see it all over the ice. So it takes obviously a certain level of testicular fortitude and toughness and dedication to play this game. But, skill in the entertainment part is really, really important. And I think our game is just highly entertaining. I think it's fun to watch. If you love sports, you love to watch hockey, especially right now. It's very, very exciting. And for me to want to sit and watch hockey games every night says a lot. I've seen a lot of hockey over my lifetime, and I'm loving it right now. So I'd have to say the product on the ice and just everything. I think that Gary Bettman has done a great job. The decisions that he's made, expansion teams, all of that stuff has come. Like, look at Vegas, right? Look at what's happened in Vegas. So the game has continued to grow. And a lot of it is on the shoulders of the players, but we have to give the league credit as well. And media, I think that there's so many different ways now with podcasts and different shows and obviously streaming and all this stuff. There's so many different ways to now see what's going on in the world of hockey, and I think all of that helps.
A critic writes in of the show, Stugotz, my favorite thing is Dan taking off his glasses to talk about a sport he knows nothing about and thinks he's making thought-provoking statements when he says, I simply didn't think they could do that. PK, did you think that Edmonton could be slowed that way by anybody the way they were in Game 2?
You know what? I think the Florida – are you talking about the Florida Panthers specifically? I'm sorry. I missed the first part of your question.
I am
the glasses distracted
I am asking you whether in the last game that they played, I didn't understand the difference between Game 1 and Game 2, where all of a sudden Edmonton's getting all of the opportunities in Game 1, all sorts of dangerous, high-risk opportunities that Bobrovsky is stopping. And then Game 2, I see the worst Edmonton team I've seen play. I didn't think that could happen where there were no chances for Edmonton. I didn't think anybody could do that to them.
I saw that coming. The Florida Panthers probably played the worst game of the playoffs in Game 1. They looked, in my opinion, they looked tentative. They looked nervous. One thing that no one's going to talk about is 8 out of the 20 or 21 players that skated, weren't even in the finals last year. Luz Turinen, who's a great young player for them, he was hurt. He didn't play last year in the finals. So they got a lot of guys that this is their first time playing in the finals. So, everybody's looking at the Florida Panthers saying, oh, they were in the finals last year. Yeah, they were, but they got a lot of players that weren't. So that, I think, showed in Game 1. There was a little bit of nerves. And it should be. They should be nervous. There's a really good hockey player on the other side. I don't know, best player in the world, the best player of our generation. Connor McDavid, he's a pretty good player. And, I'd be a little bit nervous too if I was playing against him in the finals. You're going to see his best. And Edmonton came out ready to play. I think it was a missed opportunity for Edmonton, a missed opportunity because they just ran into who I believe is the lead in the Conn Smythe Trophy conversation. And Sergei Bobrovsky was unbelievable in Game 1, and he stole Game 1. You knew that Florida was going to come out better in Game 2. I haven't seen them play 2 bad games in a row all season. I mean, they had a little stretch there, a little rough patch heading into the playoffs. But other than that, they've been solid all year and all postseason. So I expected them to bounce back. And they know they had to take care of business at home. Edmonton right now is one of the toughest buildings to play in the National Hockey League. It's going to be tough for Game 3. So they had to get it done at home, and they came out and played better. Sam Bennett was awesome. Mikkola was great. He's been great all playoff long. And Sergei Bobrovsky shut the door when he had to. Now, the question's going to be health for Florida. Are they healthy going into Game 3? But I was not surprised that Edmonton, was shut down the way that they were. This Florida Panthers team is the best defensive team in hockey, and it showed.
Are you okay with our idea to make Draisaitl sit for as long as Barkov has to sit?
Seems fair.
So I love that. I do. It's just difficult, right? Because you think about it this way. Let's just say that Draisaitl had hit a player that was on the 4th line, right? And I'm not saying this. I'm just thinking out hypothetically because we're talking as fans now. I got to take my analyst hat off for a second. Talking as fans. If Draisaitl hits, a 4th line guy like that, and the elbow guy goes down, his jaw and decides to sit a game, or sit 2 games, who's not as big of an impact player, now you've got one of the best players in the series out, and I don't know how much the NHL investigates to how hurt guys actually are. But the one thing I will say is that if a player, the number one thing I look at is the injury stuff. If a guy's injured, if you break a player's jaw, throwing an elbow, there's got to be, in my opinion, there's got to be a suspension for that. I'd be pissed if my best player broke his jaw off of their best player hitting them with an elbow and there was no supplementary discipline for it. Now, I will say this about the Draisaitl hit, and I'll even go as far to talk about the Foegele hit, because I saw the replay on that as well. And I called it a knee on knee, but whether it was a knee on knee, hip on hip, quad on quad, it's reckless. I don't like it through the neutral zone. If you're going to hit somebody through the middle of the ice, it's a skill and an art to hit. If you are late, that's why we have referees, to call penalties for guys that don't have the skating or the timing ability to hit in the open ice cleanly. If you catch a guy's leg, quad, or knee, it's a penalty. And if the guy's hurt and it looks reckless and it's dangerous, which that was, there could be extra supplementary discipline to it. So, I didn't like that hit. With Leon knew who he was hitting. There's no question about that. Now, did he deliberately try to elbow him in the chin? I will say no. That's when Trouba sticks his elbow out at Rodriguez, that to me is way more egregious than the hit that Leon Draisaitl put on Barkov. Now, guys, I was just as emotional as every person in the state of Florida when that hit happened and I saw the elbow to the chin, because this is the best player. This is the best player right now in the playoffs could potentially be injured, right? Who could be potentially injured and out for the series, out for a game, whatever it is. And that's as clear as day. That's an elbow. Now, is the intent. The intent is for Leon Draisaitl to make a big hit on Barkov. And look, his feet are down. I actually said he left his feet. He didn't leave his feet as early as I thought he did. I'm emotional. I have to admit to that. I do get emotional. I'm sorry. I do. I'm a player, so I always put myself on the ice, and I have to try to temper that emotion sometimes and look at it with a different hat on. And once I watched it over and over again, I was a little bit more lenient to it. Now, everybody's going to say, wow, PK, you're only saying that because he's a star player. Well, you're damn right. There are star players. We want them on the ice. There isn't different rules for different guys, but I've seen way worse hits than that. The most important thing that I want to see is Barkov on the ice for Game 3. If he's healthy and on the ice for Game 3, I'm not going to care. So, to your point, should they both sit? I mean, if Barkov's sitting, I don't mind Leon Draisaitl sitting a game. I don't mind that at all. But, if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. And I'm thinking that Barkov's going to play. I hope he plays. It'd be another conversation if he's missing a game. That's for sure. That's a huge loss. Huge loss if he has to miss a game.
Now, he is on the ice this morning for practice, so that is a good sign.
Full participant.
Good.
Now, I am wondering... Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. For fans and everybody, we want the stars on the ice, but we want these guys playing hard. And I also don't want to take away Leon Draisaitl's right to go out there and make a big hit and play hard like that. So, I have to temper my emotions, but there was no question that was an elbow. That was an elbow.
Could Paul Maurice, and this was my quibble that we talked earlier. I don't want to criticize Paul Maurice. I love Paul Ball. No one was supporting that guy before I was down here.
Mm-hmm. You were first.
I can't criticize. I'm afraid to criticize him, so I'm just putting a lot of caveats at the front of it. Yeah. But he could have been a little more aggressive in that press conference, calling for a suspension of Draisaitl. No.
Paul Maurice handles the media perfectly. I liked exactly what he said. He's so smart, and no, he's right to do that because. What I love about Paul Maurice is he not only loves his players, I really believe he loves the other team's players as well, and he looks at all the players the same. He's been around so long.
That's not true.
I don't like that.
That's not true.
I don't want him. I don't like that. No. I want my coach to hate the other players.
You can't. Come on.
Come on. Likes the other player. Wish diarrhea on them. Yeah.
Guys, I don't think Paul Maurice is going out there wanting to see players suspended and missing an opportunity of a lifetime to play in the Stanley Cup Final, unless it's truly deserving. And he's not going to lobby for that. unless it's 150% deserving.
If I go up to, you're telling me if I go up to Maurice tonight and just say, hey, Jeannie, McDavid's suspended. He's just suspended. That he's going to say, no, thank you. I don't want him suspended.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Of course. Listen, of course, it's winning. But he's not going to lobby for a player to get suspended. He's going to let the NHL do their job. And I thought the way he handled it was great because he put a spotlight on it without having to be front and center. He let everybody else do the math on what they saw. He saw the clip. All you got to do is watch the video clip to see the elbow. Right, to see it's right to the chin of the game's best player right now, and that's Barkov. He's been the best player in the playoffs right now, right? Who's going to argue that? On both sides of the puck. He's Florida's most valuable player outside of Bobrovsky, and he took an elbow straight from Leon Draisaitl to the chin. So, at the end of the day, this is playoff hockey. We've seen stuff happen. The most important thing is that Barkov is not hurt. So I'm happy to hear that he was on the ice. I figured that he would make it back. And Lusterinen, too. I was more scared about that hit, to be honest, than the Barkov hit. The Lusterinen one really had me going in the game, and I'm happy that he came back shortly after.
We're out of time, unfortunately. Thank you for joining us after the 2,500-mile flight. I do have one follow-up, though. You mentioned a couple of times how emotional you are and were as a player. What do you regard as the most unreasonably emotional you ever were as a player? Is there one thing that stands out to you as like, I really need to get my emotions in check? That was too far.
Yeah, yes, definitely. It was actually towards the end of my career when I was playing in New Jersey. I think it might have been in my second or maybe even my last year playing. And a bunch of my close friends and people in my inner circle gave me a bunch of crap for it. I don't know if I could swear. I would have said something else. But we were playing the Islanders, and it was in overtime. And I had scored in overtime, big celebration. And it was a big turning point for our team. We were trying to get the ball rolling. And it was called back on like an offside. And I sort of sounded off on social media after. I chirped the league. I said this league, because I thought back to the NHL finals when the offside was called in the Stanley Cup Final. And I was just being a big baby. Really, I was just being a big baby. And I was just upset. I wanted to win the game. I wanted our team to have that game. And I went on social media and I said something about the league. And, I that was the only time I ever regretted opening my mouth. That's when the emotions had boiled over for me, and deservingly so. I think everybody understands New Jersey. Those were tough 3 years playing on a team that's at the bottom of the league. I'm used to being in the playoffs every year and going on long playoff runs. So that would have been the time where I lost it. And I was upset about it because I think there's a responsibility that comes when you're a player that's recognized in a professional sports league to understand that it's our job to shine the shield. The shield gives us a lot. So I try to keep my emotions in check, but it's an emotional game. So I wouldn't be me without the emotional part. It's just about finding balance. So I remember that, though. I said some stuff on Twitter maybe or Instagram, and wasn't the right way to handle it. So.
Yes or no answer will get you out of here. Do you agree with Greg Cody when he says Connor McDavid needs to win a Stanley Cup to validate his greatness?
I feel differently about that. I think that when people think, I know you want a yes or no answer, but it's not a yes or no answer.
You can't do it. You can't do it. No.
Yes or no. Look, I stated it on the front end.
I don't want to enrage the big baby, but he did say yes or no. So, he did say yes or no.
I'm gonna say no because what he does, to me is so special. He is the greatest engineered player to ever play the game. Eras are different. There's no question. There'll never be a Wayne Gretzky. Another Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky is the great one. He is the greatest of all time.
Well said.
But for this generation, Connor McDavid is that guy. And the only reason why we say winning is because players have to have something to play for. This is not a sport where the culture accepts you coming in, taking your paycheck and walking out the door. Winning has to matter. And people can tell when you play the game and want to win. and when you don't care about winning. You know the way hockey is, man. There's no prima donnas in this sport. So winning has to matter. But, if I'm talking about the sport itself, there's nobody even close to this guy. We've never seen anybody like this guy. He's worth the price of admission to go and play. I've watched him his whole career, played with my brother growing up. Connor McDavid is the real deal. Anybody who says any different has never played against him. And no offense to Greg Cote, never played against Connor McDavid. And and that's not taking anything away from him. But trust me, if he would play against him, he'd have a completely different opinion.
You're right. You're right.
Would.
No, you're absolutely right.
Thank you for
Bishop to Rook 9 there. You got us.
Yeah.
Thank you for what?
Thank you for creating the visual of my dad playing hockey against Connor McDavid.
Thank you, PK.
He thinks he can, though.
We appreciate it, PK. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Backstreet's back. All right. Since the dawn of mankind, we've cooked our food over an open flame and debated the best way to grill. One thing not up for debate, grilling and beer always go together. But not just any beer will do. Whether you barbecue, Texas style, or just celebrate Wednesday with burgers and dogs, I love Miller Lite. Every single time my team plays on television, I am sitting behind that television screen with a Miller Lite or 3. Miller Lite keeps it simple. Undebatable quality, taste as great as your barbecue. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters the most. With the Miller Lite in hand, grilling doesn't just taste great, it tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Woo!
We are audiostack.ai.
Combining AI writing, the best synthetic voices,
with production and delivery.
Be it ads, podcasts, or VOs for video.
Just like this ad. How would you utilize AI audio? For free.
Go to audiostack.ai/contest.
Give us just a few details.
And you could replace this spot and be heard by millions.
See webpage for T's and C's. audiostack.ai/contest.